Hi and welcome back to another video. I know I haven't really been active on this channel, but that's a lot of different factors which I actually can't explain. So I've been a lot more active on Instagram and as well as TikTok because now I've created a TikTok account and I talk about books, which I guess I'm an official book talker. Mainly because I realized in Singapore we didn't really have TikTok accounts that were dedicated to books, specifically like local books, so I just wanted to try that out. And because of my efforts in doing this, I was kind of in a more tumultuous relationship with content creating and YouTube videos. Like uploading videos on YouTube tend to take a lot more time and effort, and as well as a lot more intentionality. So I've been sort of focusing on these sound bites, whereas YouTube videos are a lot more, like they're just a lot more, there's just less edits and it's just a lot more time for me to get into my thoughts and to say things through the video, which I kind of missed actually, so here I am. But anyway, today's video is also kind of related to that whole experience. If you've been following my videos for a while, you would know that I've been thinking about the digital for quite a lot, like technology and being online and how that has been shifting because of all the circumstances. And today I just wanted to talk about some of the books that have really helped me in that aspect. When I talk about technology and I talk about the digital, I'm talking a lot more about the social consequences or like the cultural significance of the way that technology is evolving and how we are evolving alongside technology. I'm sure there are so many books out there that talk about the actual science or the actual research in the stats and whatever that you might want to know about technology, but I am so much more interested in how the human psyche has been grappling with technology and with how we are so online, and what I can do as an individual to kind of grapple with that myself, because I think I'm pretty much an offline person, and that has changed a lot ever since I started content creating videos on YouTube, pictures, posts on Instagram, and now even like TikTok, which is a whole different ballgame. I've always prided myself as someone who's a lot more offline, someone who's a lot more tactile, and doing this whole content creating has really like shifted that for me, where now I have to really think about the way that I present myself in the online sphere, how it's getting out to people who might be watching these videos, whether I am, relaying myself accurately in these small snippets. And I've kind of like, I still feel that whatever's online, the online interface is still very lacking in a lot of ways for me. But this is something that I am still trying to, invest in, and to try my best in learning how to use these tools. And so, if you've seen my vlog on the book that I've read called How to Do Nothing by Jenny Odell, you might be interested in some of the other books that I'm talking about today. So but the first book that I'll be talking about is How to Do Nothing. I think it's Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell. I think this is probably the book that introduced a lot of people to these terms, like the attention economy, about resisting this kind of connectivity that's through our tools, like our handphones, our computers, our laptops, etc., and like sort of being more conscious of your social media usage as well. Now, Jenny Odell's book, a lot of people thought it was self-help, but it really wasn't. It was a lot more of a kind of like critical analysis, and also like a part of to me it felt more like a personal reflection that the author wanted to put out as well. And I realized that the book had a lot more connotations that are related to nature, like going back to nature appreciation, going back to theories that are rooted in the natural world, like ecological relationships and things like that. So that book, I would really recommend it for people who are first starting out, who are really new to like, why, like getting a big picture of how things are working in the online world and how you might find certain ways to resist that. And I think Jenny Odell also provides really good case examples, so really pretty good like like real life examples that you can follow as a reader. So after that book, right, I've still been searching a lot about technology, and so the next book that I picked up was I mean, this is not in chronological order, but I would say it's really related in terms of the general vibe. This is called Offline Matters, The Less Digital Guide to Creative Work by Jess Henderson. And this was the book that I just finished reading today, and it kind of really spurred me to make this video because I realized that this is really a really great continuation to what Jenny Odell had written about, but this is specifically about creative work. So for all creative workers, like, you know, what even is a creative job, and why has the work of the creative moved so much more online, and why is it that we have such narrow definitions of what is productivity, what is about what is connections, like what does it mean to be social, and this author kind of posits that the future is in the offline. So offline doesn't mean you're going back in age. Offline simply means that, especially in today's world where so many things are online, the offline is where you will find the best ideas, the best connections, the best it's basically the way that we can move past this technology driven world, and to actually use technology for good. So I really enjoyed this book more so than How to Do Nothing, because this book is kind of a bit more like a manifesto, and I think Henderson kind of talks to you as a reader pretty directly and gives you these very interesting things to think about. I mean, there's a lot of very provocative ideas in here, and I really enjoyed it. I think this is definitely a writing that came from someone who was observing things from the inside and the outside. And actually this book was a product of a mystery newsletter called Outsider Weekly, and I think that pretty much is the accurate description of the perspective of this book, which is a creative who has spent a lot of time trying to navigate the creative world, which is now so digital driven, and refusing to believe that this is the only way forward. And I mean, I really enjoyed this book. I think I might purchase my own copy of it, because this is a library copy. But yeah, so I felt like if you're interested still in the area of more practical, I guess, like more applicable thoughts and actions, and this book would be helpful, as well as Jenny Odell's How to Do Nothing. Now, moving on, as I mentioned, I've been so interested in the social and cultural consequences of technology in the digital world. So there are these two books that I've picked up, and I think I probably have other books, but these are the two that come to mind. This is called Glitch Feminism by Legacy Russell's Manifesto. And yeah, I mean, the tone is very much similar to this book in terms of like being manifesto style books. But this is in favor of technology and in favor of the digital world. And it's in favor of the way that your sense of self and your collective community can be empowered and multiplied, and all sorts of emancipatory powers that the internet gives to marginalized people and to people who simply don't fit into the norm or fit into this conformed idea. And this was a book that I picked up because I wanted to see both sides. I wanted to see technology as something that was very empowering, and it definitely is. I do think that technology and the internet allows you to play with your identity and play with your presentation in ways that the literal or like material world can't allow. And I think that's something to celebrate. I think that's something to really like revel in some ways. But definitely, I mean, this is in the context of feminism, so it is concerned with questioning gender. It is concerned with questioning ways of living by the gender binary, things like that. But I do think that the ideas that are in this book are applicable to many different strands of thought. It could be across lines of race or lines of class and things like that. I think this book would definitely be more interesting for people who are like more invested in radical ideas or more of a more of a clearer intersection with radical thought, in this case feminism. Okay, and the last book that I want to talk about is Duty-Free Art by Hito, Steyerl, The Art in the Age of the Planetary Civil War. I think I've talked about this a few times on my channel, but honestly I am nowhere near finishing this book, but the first few chapters have really blown me away. This is more of a arts commentary point of view. So Hito Steyerl is a professor, I think, and she takes different artworks and sort of breaks them down and explains the significance of those artworks. And I think this is just incredibly smart. I think this is why I feel like being able to understand art or being able to appreciate art is so important, because there's certain ideas here that just cannot be expressed through someone just telling me to get off my phone. You know what I mean? So it's like going deeper into the relationship of, screens and our sense of self, our corporal bodies, and how that relates to our non-corporal bodies, like the tangible and the intangible, and how those relate. And it's all these ambiguities that you cannot really tackle with on a personal individual basis, but rather you can start to grapple with them through observing art, observing the way that artists or creatives have been trying to articulate this ambiguity. And if you can do that yourself, I think that's great. But I think a lot of us are sort of trying to figure out all these smaller tensions in our life, whereas these artists probably dedicate a lot more time to questioning a bigger tension, or questioning a bigger picture of things, which can be very helpful, especially if you are you just simply have no time or resources or any sort of capacity to be able to imagine so radically, which is what I struggle with a lot as well, because I think this year I've been trying to build a lot on my radical imagination, but it's not going very well, because I think after so many years of conditioning, it's not very easy to imagine in such a expansive and radical way. But I'm trying. So definitely this book gives me the perspective of a more arts-centric perspective, but I guess it's a lot more philosophical. It's a lot more society-wide as well. So it's not just certain marginal groups, but it's definitely a few key observations by artists that are spread out across different contexts. And I think the writing is just so incredibly smart. I mean I struggle a lot reading and understanding this, but every single chapter is like a gem, I think, and there's just so much that I'm learning from each chapter about the way that artists have been grappling with this weird tension that I think a lot of us are unable to articulate. So it's been super helpful to have this book on hand as a physical copy, because I'm gonna take forever to read this, honestly. But that's pretty much the 4 books that have really helped me in this journey, but I will be linking other books that have helped me as well in the description box, because I just can't seem to recall them right now. But I just want to talk a little bit more as well about my recent endeavors in social media, trying to promote books. And I'm doing this all out of interest and passion. So I do videos on YouTube, as well as build up a bookstagram, and now I'm currently doing a lot of book talks, and it's pretty interesting because I know a lot of people tend to focus on just one. So some people have been building up their booktube a lot more, and whereas some people are building up their bookstagram a lot more. But I've been doing all of these things side by side, so that's why I think there's a kind of a friction sometimes when I try to create content, because I think the type of content you create on each platform can be pretty different, and the kind of engagement that you get. And this is something I want to posit to everyone as well. I want to open up this question as to how social media really, has it affected the way you read? Has it affected the way that you digest books and you find books? And I think definitely yes. And if you say yes, you can just let me know, discuss below how it has changed the way you kind of regard books. And if not, then what are the ways that you have been interacting with books that have been untouched by social media? I think this is something that has been on my mind quite a bit, because even today I think a lot of the ways that I find my books and a lot of the ways that I process my books is very much offline. So I don't actually really find books through booktube or bookstagram. I mean, I do keep tabs on books that I want to read, but most of the time my TBR is expanding because of my own like like my own how do I say it? Like I would go out and find these books by myself. So for example, this book, I found it in the career section of the library when I was searching for another book actually, but this happened to pop up, and I picked it up, and I've not seen it anywhere making its rounds anywhere in the social media spheres I was in, as well as this book. It tends to be that these books are the ones that I really treasure and I've learned so much from, and I find the tension quite disturbing sometimes, because I do think that while it is a great place to share these books that other people might not have heard of, it's also a place where you have to stay hyper connected. If not, your engagement kind of falls. You have to keep coming back to it in order for it to reach people. I think that's the difficulty. I do think that when we think about how do we create engaging content around books, it's like, I mean, I have no other reason than to encourage you to read those books because they've taught me so much, and I find it hard to be like how do I say this, like to constantly be reading books that I think might interest people, and I always have that question in my head, like should I be reading more popular titles? Should I be uploading just more personal things, or should I keep it to just books? What are the things that people are looking for? And I think that's the difficulty as well, when you put things out there, that they also get subject to people's judgment, and that people would easily say things that they might not say in real life, and that's something that I've been struggling with as well. But I think it's just part and parcel of putting your things out there. Like, let me know what you think about social media and books. I find the act of reading almost like opposite to the act of being on social media, because the act of reading is so intentional and it's so like individual and solitary, whereas in social media there's this like pseudo sociality, like there's this pseudo like connectivity that I feel, and like you're witnessing so many people, you're witnessing so many thoughts and ideas, but you're not actually with the person, and you don't actually see the big picture at all. Whereas with a book, you are crafting this big picture in your mind as you read and as you process it, and everything is in that book, whereas everything online is very fragmented, and it's really up to you to piece the ideas together. But that takes a lot of effort as well, especially if you're not someone who's like an expert in certain areas, or if you don't have experience, or it just gets really tiring sometimes, because I don't think this is the way that social media is designed. It's not really allowing you to draw big picture links as much as you are able to offline. So yeah, those are just my general thoughts, and I really wanted to put this video out there because I know that I haven't been on my booktube, and this is one of the main reasons why. It's because I've been kind of struggling with my relationship to content creating about books online. But booktube has always been a very comfortable space for me to just be myself, as compared to other platforms, and I hope this kind of gets across the screen. I don't know whether people feel that, but yeah. So thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope this video was interesting. It's not really like a TBR or a wrap up. It's just a lot of rambling thoughts and books that have helped me in those rambling thoughts, actually. So yeah, thanks so much. And if you read all the way to the end, you can leave an emoji of a book stack, like a stack of books. And also, yeah, don't forget to reply to the questions I asked, which is how social media has affected the way you read. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video, and I hope that you're all staying safe and healthy, and yeah, may you have a very happy week ahead. Bye.